Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. Please subscribe before we get started because today's video is one of those stories that genuinely stops you in your tracks when you hear it for the first time. Because it is not about a music award. It is not about a chart record. It is not about a streaming milestone or a brand deal announcement or a viral concert moment. It is about something that almost no artist in the history of popular music has ever received: an official government recognition, voted on unanimously by elected officials, from a country that Jimin and BTS have never even performed in as a complete group before. And the weight of that, when you understand what it means and the context surrounding it, is something that I think goes far beyond anything that a Grammy or a Billboard chart position could ever communicate. So let's get into it. The La Plata City Council in Argentina has unanimously approved a resolution naming BTS guests of honor ahead of the group's Buenos Aires concerts, scheduled to take place in October. Let's start right there, with that word unanimously, because it is the detail that makes this recognition genuinely extraordinary and that separates it from every other award or recognition that BTS or any of its members have ever received in their career. When a music award is given, it is typically the result of a specific voting process within an industry body, or a fan vote, or an editorial decision by a publication or platform. The Grammy is decided by members of the Recording Academy. The Billboard Awards are driven by chart performance and fan voting. The AMAs are fan-voted. Even the most prestigious awards in music involve some element of industry politics, of campaign strategy, of which artists have the most engaged voting base in a given year. There is nothing wrong with any of that. These are real achievements and they mean something significant. But they operate within the specific world of the music industry, within the specific community of people who are professionally or personally invested in music as a commercial and cultural product. What happened in La Plata is something completely different. The City Council declared BTS as honorary foreign guests, recognizing BTS's cultural impact worldwide and their contributions to spreading the Korean language and culture among young people. This is a formal act of government. The people who voted on this resolution are elected officials, politicians who represent the residents of La Plata, Argentina in a municipal legislative body. Their job is to govern a city. Their mandate comes from the citizens who voted them into office, not from the music industry and not from K-pop fans specifically. And when those elected officials, representing a city of hundreds of thousands of people, convened and voted unanimously, every single one of them, no dissent, no abstentions, to grant BTS and Jimin the title of honorary foreign guests of the city of La Plata, they were making a statement that exists in an entirely different register from anything a music award ceremony can produce. Honorary foreign guest is the highest level of official courtesy granted to distinguished visitors or world-renowned masters of culture and art who visit the city, based on La Plata's municipal ordinance. The highest level. Not one of several levels. The highest. This is a title that, under the formal legal framework of La Plata's municipal government, is reserved specifically for people whose cultural or artistic contributions to the world are so significant and so widely recognized that the city itself wants to formally acknowledge their presence as something extraordinary. It is not a title that gets handed out routinely. It is not a promotional partnership or a tourism initiative. It is a genuine civic honor, the kind of recognition that a city typically reserves for heads of state, for Nobel laureates, for figures whose impact on human culture and society has risen to the level where an entire governmental body feels compelled to formally mark it. And BTS, including Jimin, received it unanimously. Before they have even performed in Argentina as a complete group for the first time in history. The honor recognizes BTS for its positive influence on young people around the world and its contributions to promoting youth rights through music and public engagement. Youth rights. Not just entertainment. Not just music sales. Youth rights, the formal, internationally recognized concept of the well-being, empowerment, and protection of young people as a distinct and important demographic within society. The La Plata City Council looked at what BTS has done across their career and concluded that their impact on young people around the world rises to the level of a genuine contribution to youth rights. That is a remarkable framing, and it is worth sitting with for a moment, because it reflects something that has always been present in BTS's work but that does not always get acknowledged in mainstream Western coverage of the group. BTS has, from early in their career, been unusually direct and unusually substantive in their engagement with the issues that affect young people: mental health, social pressure, the difficulty of finding identity in a world that constantly demands conformity, the pain of feeling unseen and unheard. Their music has addressed these themes in ways that have resonated specifically and powerfully with young audiences around the world. Their 2018 speech to the United Nations General Assembly, delivered by RM on behalf of the group, was not a promotional appearance, it was a genuine engagement with the global institution most directly responsible for youth-related policy and advocacy, addressing the specific struggles of the generation that had made BTS what they were. The La Plata City Council, in citing youth rights as a reason for the honorary guest designation, is drawing a direct line between that legacy of engagement and the formal recognition they are extending. According to documents submitted to the Council's Culture Committee, the recognition extends beyond BTS music and includes the group's role in encouraging interest in Korean language and culture among local youth, as well as charitable initiatives carried out by local ARMY fans. This second dimension of the recognition is equally important. The impact of BTS on Korean language learning is a documented, measurable phenomenon. The Korean government's own cultural agencies have tracked the dramatic increase in interest in Korean language study among young people around the world that correlates directly with the rise of BTS and K-pop more broadly. In Argentina specifically, a country that has no historical or geographical connection to Korea, that shares no language, no cultural heritage, no political or economic relationship that would naturally generate interest in Korean culture, thousands of young people have learned Korean, studied Korean history and culture, and developed a genuine connection to a country on the other side of the world specifically because of BTS. That is a form of cultural diplomacy that governments spend enormous resources trying to achieve, and BTS and ARMY accomplished it organically, through the simple power of music that resonates and the community that music creates. The BTS honor was achieved due to a peaceful fan-led campaign, highlighting ARMY's growing influence. This detail is something I want to spend a moment on, because it adds another layer to what this recognition means. The honorary guest designation did not come from a top-down government initiative. It was not proposed by the Korean embassy or by BTS's management. It was proposed by the local fan community. BTS La Plata official, who researched the existing municipal ordinance, understood the criteria for honorary guest designation, assembled documentation of BTS's cultural impact that met those criteria, and presented a formal proposal to the City Council's Culture Committee. Local media outlet InfoCielo highlighted the City Council's rare unanimous vote, underscoring the group's extraordinary cultural impact. ARMY organized, did the research, made the formal case, and persuaded elected officials through the legitimate processes of democratic governance. This is not a fan vote that rewards whoever has the most engaged voting base. This is a community of fans who understood the governmental process, engaged with it seriously, and achieved a real outcome through legitimate civic participation. The honorary guest designation that Jimin and BTS will receive when they arrive in Argentina in October is, in a very real sense, a product of ARMY's civic engagement as much as it is a product of BTS's cultural impact. And that is an extraordinary thing. Now let's talk about the broader context of Latin America and what the Argentina moment fits into, because this is not the first time in recent months that a Latin American government has extended formal recognition to BTS during the Ararang World Tour. BTS met with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum ahead of its concerts in Mexico City. During her regular morning press briefing, Sheinbaum confirmed to local press that BTS would visit the presidential office and greet citizens from the National Palace's open balcony. She described BTS as a band that always delivers messages of friendship, peace, and love. The Mexican government also honored the group as distinguished visitors, presenting BTS with a commemorative plaque recognizing its influence on Mexican youth and its messages of respect, empathy, diversity, and peace. Let that sink in. Not a city council. The President of Mexico. Claudia Sheinbaum, the sitting head of state of a country of 130 million people, one of the largest economies in Latin America, personally hosted BTS at the National Palace and extended to them the formal designation of Distinguished Visitors of Mexico. Following the meeting, Sheinbaum shared photos of the visit on social media, writing that she was happy to welcome the group most loved by Mexican youth. BTS was uniquely welcomed in Mexico, as 50,000 people greeted them when they appeared on the balcony of the National Palace. As BTS arrived in Mexico City, the lines between global fandom and statecraft were formally dissolved. 50,000 people. In the main public square of Mexico City. To welcome a K-pop group. The Zocalo, the historic heart of Mexico City, one of the largest public plazas in the world, flanked by the Metropolitan Cathedral and the National Palace, was filled with people who came to see Jimin and his fellow BTS members appear on a balcony. This is the kind of scene that happens for heads of state, for historic political moments, for events of genuine national significance. And it happened for BTS. In El Paso, the El Paso County Commissioner's Court proclaimed May 2nd and 3rd as El Paso BTS Weekend and presented BTS with the Estimado Amigo, Dear Friend, Award, recognizing their significant contributions to local tourism and community pride and for spreading positive social values through their music. El Paso, Texas. A city on the United States-Mexico border. The county commissioners, elected American officials, officially proclaimed two specific dates as BTS Weekend and created a formal award to present to the group. This is happening in American governance. This is not K-pop media coverage. This is the administrative machinery of an American county responding to the cultural reality that BTS represents in their community. The pattern is unmistakable. As the Ararang World Tour has moved through North America, Mexico, and now prepares for Latin America, the formal recognition from governments at every level, municipal, state, national, has followed BTS into every territory they enter. This does not happen for most artists. This does not happen for most global tours. The Rolling Stones do not receive honorary guest designations from the cities they tour through. Taylor Swift does not get invited to meet heads of state before her concerts. The level of formal governmental recognition that BTS has accumulated during the Ararang World Tour alone is something that has no real precedent in the history of popular music touring. Prior to this upcoming full group tour, BTS as a whole had not held a concert in Argentina. However, Jin performed in Buenos Aires as a special guest during the British rock band Coldplay's World Tour in 2022. This fact is important for understanding the emotional weight of the Argentina situation specifically. Argentina has never had a full BTS concert. The recognition being extended by La Plata comes before, not after, the group has delivered a performance on Argentine soil. It is a recognition not of what they have done in Argentina, but of what they represent to Argentines who have followed them, loved them, and been shaped by their music from a distance, without the option of seeing them perform live. It is a recognition of a decade plus of cultural impact that has reached Argentina entirely through recordings, through the internet, through the social networks of fans who created community around BTS without ever having had the chance to share physical space with the artists themselves. Originally scheduled for 2 shows, staggering demand forced organizers to expand the BTS South America tour itinerary, locking in performances for October 21, 23, and 24 at the Estadio Único de La Plata, which literally translates into Unique Stadium of La Plata. The stadium is also known as Estadio Único Diego Armando Maradona, named after the popular Argentine footballer Diego A. Maradona. They added a third date because demand was so overwhelming. 3 nights at a stadium named after one of the greatest football players in history. In a country where football is essentially a national religion, where Diego Maradona is not just a sports figure but a cultural icon of the highest order, BTS will perform 3 nights in a venue that carries his name. And before they even arrive, the city has declared them honorary guests by unanimous vote. For Jimin specifically, this moment fits into a pattern of recognition that has followed the Ararang World Tour from its very first stop. In the Mayboy Group Individual Brand Reputation Report released by the Korea Corporate Reputation Institute, Jimin recorded a brand reputation index of 6,447,417 million points, marking his 58th overall first-place finish. Link analysis revealed high mentions of perfect, enthusiastic, and breakthrough. The Argentine recognition is not just a music industry data point. It is a governmental acknowledgement of exactly the kind of cultural impact that the brand reputation data reflects, an impact that has reached into the social fabric of communities around the world, that has changed how young people think about Korean culture and language, that has created genuine civic engagement and community building in places where BTS has never set foot. When Jimin and his fellow BTS members arrive in La Plata, Argentina in October 2026, they will arrive as the officially designated honorary foreign guests of the city, the highest civic honor the city's government can extend to a visitor. They will perform 3 nights at a stadium that bears the name of one of the most celebrated athletes in the history of the world. They will meet an audience of fans who have waited a decade or more for this moment, who organized themselves into a civic force capable of persuading a city council to take formal action, who demonstrated through legitimate democratic participation that BTS's cultural impact in their community deserves official recognition. This is what the Ararang World Tour means. Not just the music, not just the stadiums, not just the chart records and the streaming numbers and the viral moments. It means that a K-pop group from South Korea has generated enough genuine, documented cultural impact in communities around the world that governments are responding to their arrival not just as a commercial event but as a civic occasion. It means that Jimin, as part of that group, carries with him a recognition that no Grammy and no Billboard chart position has ever captured, the recognition of elected officials, speaking on behalf of their communities, who looked at the evidence of what BTS has meant to their people and voted unanimously to say, "You are welcome here, you are honored here, and what you have given us matters." Thank you so much for watching this video. If you found it meaningful, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more content covering the BTS Ararang World Tour and all the moments, musical, cultural, governmental, and human, that are defining this historic comeback. Drop a comment below and tell me, which government recognition during this tour has moved you the most? The Mexican president, the El Paso Weekend Proclamation, or the La Plata unanimous vote? I want to know. I will see you in the next one.